Hello, welcome to another edition of News Desk. With me, Bernice Abubedulansa. Coming up, NDC NPP clash over traffic light installation in Tuobodom. We'll be telling you how this happened. Stay with us for details. And Africa workers unite against military action in Niger. We'll hear from the Africa Trade Union Congress and get the perspective of a security analyst on this development. And on Climate Focus today, we'll tell you about the man who is turning degraded land into natural homesteads as a way for protecting the environment. Details of these stories and more, including business in this hour. Kindly stay with us. Thanks for your company once again. We are live on DSTV channel 421 on your digital television and around the world via myjoyonline.com. Now, there's tension in Tuobodom as supporters of the opposition NDC clash with supporters of the governing NPP over whose efforts led to the installation of a new traffic light in the district capital. It took the timely intervention of the district police command to restore sanity as the DCE blocked the road in an attempt to prevent the MP for the area, Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejare, from leading the contractor to the project site. Correspondent Anasabit witnessed the incident, and here's his report.
The timely intervention of the Tuobodom Police Command saved what could have been a bloody clash between some aggrieved supporters of the Member of Parliament for Techiman North and the DCE over claims on who actually led to the installation of a traffic light at the heart of Tuobodom, the district capital. The MP, lawyer Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejare, who is championing this cause as a campaign promise prior to the 2020 general elections, was prevented from entering the Tuobodom township by the DCE and Donko Everson, who blocked the road and ordered the police to deny her and the contractor access to the project site. This attracted the wrath of some angry youth in the area who subsequently accused the DCE of preventing developmental projects in the area.
2020 no promise yes the traffic light eba traffic light the eba no ye nyina ye nyatema anya hondene ye hu se ka se ebubo enuanom ebubo amanfo ne eba no ye nyina ye nya gidie se eba be bo timamufu aboa ye Tuobodom krodua yi na udc wo kase o ma traffic no ma because of say wa ban ne sabia wo power ne opposition party ne predia nya wo nwini makuro no.
These aggrieved youth vowed to withstand any attempt by the DCE and the NPP aimed at intimidating the MP and asked that the legislator has their full support.
Traffic light no nipa no adi kan dia ba enti ye tetema no fu nya dia enti die na wa hu a wo pese wo ya de wo break omo se wo ba ya wo de tese ni monyam no a anyankopɔ da chemame no MPP fo ni nguase a sese ya de bia no ometima ka amagana fo ato omase no enti sese no chese ne ma hu hia e de basabasa yo e na omo start na mbom ya ye wo tetema no fo no de yam prema MPP aban e tete fa hu die so anya kwa ne ebesi sama MPP ahuna bia ni obetuma huna o tetema no
na 3 days ka bo nipa ni me pesa DC say o pe krompuntu ana so be politics ya mfaso bia nim so ko bia primpuntu ti me say DC ni say emfa nuado ba ko ye nye kroyiye because say MPP ko and NDC kwa ya the DC ya ni betena kromu ha because kromu ya.
The legislator, a former tourism minister under the Mahama regime, Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejare, described the actions of the DCE as unfortunate and appealed to the president, Nana Addo Dankwa, to call him to order.
He called the district commander to come and make sure that everybody goes back. The district commander, a level-headed policeman, allowed all of us to come. And he said he's keeping the machines there so that tomorrow they can come and install. I think this is unfortunate. This is not proper. It shouldn't happen again. I'm calling on Nana Akufo-Addo to call the DCE to order. because it is the safety and security of the people in Tuobodom that we are looking for. It is not politics every day. Sometimes we must think of development. The traffic light is being sponsored by government of Ghana. What is the fight? It was the Minister for Roads and Highways that we appealed to him, and he agreed for the installation of this traffic light. What is he fighting about? Much ado about nothing.
But how important is this particular traffic to the people of the Techiman North District capital?
I am concerned about the traffic light because when we were crossing, you all saw the difficulty. This is a very busy intersection. So it is proper that we get traffic light to regulate the traffic situation here. We get car knocking people down, we get accidents, but we know that once we get a traffic light here, it will be a thing of the past. So it is very important to me as their MP to ensure that they are safe, and that I know will happen.
The police, who have since moved their equipment for the installation of the traffic light to the District Police Command, are however tight-lipped on the matter and have asked the contractor to halt the installation project until further notice. Anna Sabit, Jones, Tuobodom.
Now, campaign spokesperson for Alan Tremantin has described the New Patriotic Party's upcoming Superdelegates Congress as an unnecessary electoral process. According to Yawabi Asamoah, the Congress, which is to trim the number of flag bearer aspirants from 10 to 5, is an administrative process that will delay aspirants from campaigning towards the November 4 Delegates Congress. He says there's a need for constitutional reforms to abort the process in subsequent years. He spoke in an interview with Love FM's Anabuachi Yadom in Kumasi.
At this time that we are going to have that conference, I really think it's so unnecessary. I think it's just a distraction from normal campaigning, that one has to stop and go and organize oneself over 16 regions in order to conduct a process that has no bearing on popularity. So really, maybe in future, as a party, we need to look at that constitutional provision and make it more flexible in order for it to serve the party better.
But are you much prepared for that Congress?
What is preparation? There is no need for preparation. Those who are going to vote form barely 3% of the entire electoral college. And so it's for them to decide that they will do something decent for the rest of the party.
Mr. Bobby Asamoah also says the process is not significant in determining who becomes flag bearer of the party. He says the party should have allowed all 10 aspirants to go through the main delegates congress and not trim the number from 10 to 5.
Will not be the determinant of who becomes our flag bearer. It's only an administrative process. It's not significant in terms of determining who is politically popular. It is not a political process. For us, the significance lay in efficiency. Because it's an administrative process, you want it to disrupt your main campaign as little as possible. And you have it and get it over and done with. Now that it's been decentralized to 16 regions, the party literally has expanded its workload. So it's for the party to organize itself well and manage the process well, so that all the participants will feel comfortable that the right thing has been done. But the bottom line is that in reality, it doesn't test political popularity. In reality, it is an administrative process, and the only important thing is that you are involved with the first 5. Frankly, this is not the first time more than 10 people are running. But in 2007, 17 was a bit much. 17 candidates in 2007 was a bit much. So more or less a reaction from that we created a special delegates conference to reduce to 5. But before 2007, we've had 13 candidates, we have 10, we've had candidates in excess of 10 several times. So, but for the fact that we made it a strict provision, we should have actually varied it and had all the 10 go through to November. Because what's the big deal? I mean, for the 10, they will separate themselves out. As you go forward, delegates will begin to sort out the men from the boys.
Meanwhile, NPP flag bearer hopeful Kojo Nsafo-Apoku is optimistic his performance in the upcoming Superdelegates Congress will win him the attention of many delegates. According to him, a number of them at the grassroots have failed to give his campaign the needed attention. He's also been speaking to Nana Yaojima in Kumasi.
About 962 people formed the Electoral College for the NPP's Superdelegates Conference, which will elect 5 of the 10 persons hoping to lead the party in the 2024 presidential election. The electorate will include executives at both the regional and constituency levels and other high-ranking party members. Nonetheless, many of the aspirants touring various regions are already meeting the Electoral College for the Delegates Conference, though their fate is yet to be determined. Kwejopoku, who is confident of his chances, says for various reasons his team has a different campaign strategy from others.
I'm not doing the constituency and then which comprises of the polling station executives and electoral area coordinators. I'm not doing that yet. I'll do that after the super delegate. And it's because of a couple of reasons. One, you see, I'm the only one that a lot of people really are not taking my campaign very serious, especially at the grassroots. When I go and start engaging some electoral area coordinators, like, oh, Master Nadia, always 2 times, 5, you know, so people don't think that I have a message. So I want to prove a point. After super delegate, when they see my performance after super delegate, then everybody will be like, oh, wow. He's actually taking down these big names, then he has something for us to listen to. So when I go to the constituency and then they talk to the grassroots, they will pay more attention. That is why I have stayed away. But again, the field is crowded. Okay, Allen is going around, Baumia is going around, Japan is going around, everybody is going around. So I don't think there is a need. And this election is in November 4th. Those going around now will still have to come back again in September, October. So why come now and then come again? So I think that the message has to be focused. My message now is to win to be part of the 5 in the super delegate. Then after that, between September and October, hit the ground running to basically make sure that. But then the momentum. Look, I know what the performance is going to be. I have been doing a lot of work, meeting all these super delegates. If what they tell me translates into their vote on the day, I'm going to do very well. And that momentum will propel me to win this thing.
Ashanti region, which has 47 constituencies, will contribute the highest number of delegates to the Electoral College. Mr. Kwejo Nsafo-Apoku, though born and bred in Ashanti region, tips the central region as a stronghold for his campaign.
No, I don't. Kumasi is not my stronghold. Kumasi is the home everybody's from. It has the biggest number of votes because, bear in mind, it has 47, but only 46 available, 46 constituency chairmen, 17 regional executives, and a host of other dignitaries who will vote in that. So Kumasi is hotly contested because of the number of votes available in Kumasi. But my strongest constituency, or my strongest region is the central region. And you know Ghana politics. We can never win anything without central region. So I think I'm on a good thing. The response, and you see, central region is more like I'm back home. My wife is from the central region, and my mom's father is from the central region, from Edna. So they are showing me the love that I'm not getting from Ashanti. Doesn't mean I'm not going to get anything from Ashanti, but if you ask me where today I feel comfortable that is my stronghold, is the central region.
For Joy News, Nana Yaojima reporting.
This is your election headquarters. You want to stay with us for all in the build-up to the NPP's Super Delegates Congress, which will be happening later this month. Now, away from the NPP party politics, halt all plans to use military force in Niger. That's the call by African workers who say they strongly reject the decision by ECOWAS to use force rather than dialogue to resolve the political crisis in Niger. The African arm of the International Trade Union Confederation, ITUC, believes the move by ECOWAS is ill-conceived and wants the regional body to reverse its course and tactically embrace diplomatic and political dialogue in resolving the impasse. Here are details of that statement issued by ITUC Africa. Now, it says the ECOWAS Commission wishes to inform that the ECOWAS AU-UN mission to the Republic of Niger did not take place on Tuesday, 8th August 2023. The mission was aborted following a late-night communication from the military authorities in Niger indicating their unavailability to receive the tripartite delegation. The planned mission was part of continued efforts to find a peaceful resolution to the current crisis in Niger, as per the decision of the ECOWAS Extraordinary Summit held on 30th July 2023. The community will continue to deploy all measures in order to restore constitutional order in Niger. So that was actually a statement from ECOWAS. I beg your pardon. And earlier I said it was from the ITUC Africa. Well, Secretary General of ITUC Africa, Tuobodom, will join us shortly for a conversation on this. But already on the streets of Accra, the idea of a military intervention in Niger is not resonating with people. They are urging ECOWAS leaders to hasten slowly.
There will definitely be some backlash, Some of the threats, are being directed to some of the ECOWAS member countries from these French countries, So we have to be very, very careful. And it's a very easy thing for them to take advantage of the situation and start looking towards Nigeria, Ghana, and other countries.
The steps that ECOWAS is taking is truly misplaced. It is not something that Africa or Africans should support. I'm not in support of, this ECOWAS intrusion on the land. In as much as Nigeria is connected to Ghana, definitely so what happens to Nigeria, what happens to ECOWAS basically affects Ghanaians.
So if you want to send military personnel or troops to go and then counter their decision, then it implies that Ghana also supports how the country is being governed. And you know how other countries also see Ghana, that our president is not governing us well. You have fire in your backyard, put it off before you come to us. So I think we should act professionally, try to have bilateral talks, professional talks, diplomatic talks.
We also need to do our homework well, because what is happening, if you listen to the explanation being given by the military junta, you realize that they have a point. Ghana can be affected by going to fight against the leader or the military people who are in charge of the affair for now. They could be affected because it's some people's country. That is what they have chosen to go. Once they have gotten supporters over there, people are supporting what they have done. No, they can victimize. We have people over there, Ghanaians are there. So if they go, they should not forget that we have Ghanaians over there.
Let's now speak to Kwesi Edu-Amankwa. He's Secretary General of ITUC Africa. They are representing labor groups in all member states. I'm grateful for your time this morning, sir. So we have received a statement, and that statement is indicating your plea, basically, to ECOWAS for it to restrain with this threat of military intervention. What are your exact concerns?
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, as ITUC Africa, we have actually condemned the coup d'etat in Niger and called on the military authorities to return the country to constitutional rule. Because when there are problems, which is in a democracy, it is through dialogue that we seek to resolve these problems. But beyond that, we have come out with a second statement indicating our concern that the proposed military intervention in the event that the military in Niger stays put is not acceptable to us, and we think that it's particularly dangerous for the sub-region, and that it can create political turmoil in the entire sub-region. So that's basically concerned.
Do you have any recommendations for ECOWAS? So you say in that statement that you just made reference to that you've been studying what's been happening in the Sahel region, for example, and you cite killings, kidnappings, and many other effects of some of these military interventions, and even the readiness of other countries within the West African sub-region to support Niger if ECOWAS goes ahead with this threat. Do you have any recommendations for the regional body?
Well, the regional body has to do what it takes to engage the authorities in Niger. You know that primarily what we have now is essentially a club of leaders. A club of leaders. ECOWAS is not a sovereign entity itself. ECOWAS is a club which has been formed by a number of sovereign states. And therefore, in fact, you find that often it is quite difficult for ECOWAS to intervene in whatever happens if it is not going according to how people expect it to go in these different countries. So ECOWAS has to do what it takes to engage more. One, in the different countries, I think that we need to be talking more about this issue and the dangers it poses. And then ECOWAS must reach out to the country itself, the leaders of the country, and if possible, try to reach different segments of the population, find out how to get out of this impasse. But certainly, we believe that the military option is an extremely dangerous one for the entire continent. And besides, we are yet to see any country in which democracy has been imposed from without.
Mr. Eduamankwa, so we know the Mali situation, right? And we know how even our own very President Akufo-Addo, when he was chair of ECOWAS, tried to intervene. The former president who passed on, former President Jerry Rawlings, was also called to use his influence to try and help the situation in Mali. We are still in 2023, and the country is still under military rule. So how about those who say that there should be engagement with ECOWAS on how to proceed, right, with this planned military intervention, instead of, we just coming out onto the media and criticizing their plan?
Yeah, but ECOWAS has to be ready to engage with different people. We cannot just get up and go and engage ECOWAS. How are we going to do that? You must have heard, for instance, that even in Nigeria, the Senate refused to do certain things that the executive was going to do, which means that even within sovereign nations, there hasn't been enough consultation and engagement with the levels of power. Now, if ECOWAS is not doing that, how are they going to engage us, or how do we, as civil society, engage them? That is something that it will be interesting to know.
What have your members in Niger, I mean the ITUC members in Niger, what have they been telling you about the coup and this action ECOWAS plans on embarking on?
Well, what is very clear for our members, and in fact, even non-members who are also unionized in Niger, is that the threat of invasion from outside has actually united the entire body of organized labor in Niger, and they do not want a military intervention, because a military intervention is going to be extremely disruptive for lives, both in and around Niger.
So now, I mean, like I said earlier, this is a call to ECOWAS for it to rescind its decision for a military intervention in Niger. But what if the leaders decide to go ahead to deploy? What will the ITUC do?
Well, the ITUC is simply an organization of workers, and already, even before an intervention, I think in your news I just saw protests. I don't know whether it's on the streets of Accra. Yeah, I think in the streets of Accra. Is that Accra?
Which story are you referencing?
There was one in which you made protests. There were protesters against the intervention.
All right. So what you're seeing, if it's what you're seeing on your screens now, it is okay. Well, you're talking about the Vox Pop, right? Yes. We spoke to people on the streets of Accra, right? They were basically sharing their thoughts.
Okay, right. So you can see that people on the streets don't like it, and really, if ECOWAS goes beyond the threat to actually institute a military intervention, all we can do is to mobilize protests around our countries against the military intervention, because really it is extremely dangerous for the subcontinent.
I appreciate your time this morning. Kwesi Aduamankwa is General Secretary of ITUC Africa, and they've released a statement calling on ECOWAS not to go ahead with this planned military intervention in Niger. He's basically been explaining to us why the body disagrees with this move and what the impact will be, and also just told us what will happen if ECOWAS decides to go ahead with this planned action. We've been joined by security analyst Dr. Bona as well. Doc, thank you so much for your time. We've been hearing from Mr. Aduamankwa and the concerns by ITUC. Would you say they are fairly grounded? Hello, Dr. Bona. Doc, if you can hear me, I was basically asking if you think these concerns by ITUC, are fairly grounded.
Okay, yes, I can hear you. Good morning. I think your line disconnected. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Dr. Bona.
Well, yes, I think I entirely agree with the ITUC. I entirely agree with them. This particular intervention is uncalled for. The leaders of ECOWAS know what they must do to prevent coups like this in West Africa. They are not doing that. They watched on, for instance, for Alassane Ouattara to actually change the constitution to stand a third term. They watched on, Adama Barrow is doing his own thing. They have watched on for, look at what is happening in Senegal. And so this military intervention that has been called, it's just, if you ask me, I would say it's just a Tinubu's declaration of war in ECOWAS, which, as you went around interviewing people in Ghana, largely, majority of Ghanaians don't support any intervention at all. The simple reason is that we could have an internal upheaval or upheavals within the military in our own country if we send our military officers to Niger and we begin to bring them back home in body bags. At least history and war historians will tell you that this is how countries have been destroyed. ECOWAS should take the way of dialogue and negotiations to see. But fundamentally, if you ask me, is ECOWAS not aware that the ordinary citizens in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Niger, in Mali, in Cote d'Ivoire, and the rest don't actually know of, we only know of the existence of ECOWAS on paper. If you ask me again, we have something called the ECOWAS Parliament. The ECOWAS Parliament, who elected who to go and represent who at the ECOWAS Parliament? The ECOWAS Parliament they are selected members of parliament from various ECOWAS countries who go to what is called the ECOWAS Parliament and act just as an advisory body. If we were going to learn from the European Parliament or the EU Parliament, then ordinary citizens should stand elections in Ghana to represent Ghana at the ECOWAS Parliament. That way, these issues could be shared, or these issues could be tabled at a proper constituted ECOWAS Parliament. And so as far as I'm concerned, this particular declaration of war is a proxy war that I would urge the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, tomorrow they are the heads of state are meeting. He should not sign on to any intervention, because if that happens, we could have our own challenges in this country, and we don't want to get involved. If you look at what has taken place, it is largely in Francophone West Africa, because almost these Francophone West African countries are still under the rule or dictatorship of France.
Right.
So long as they are under the dictatorship of France, issues like, common trade areas, travels and all that, it's not going to be possible.
That's upon
We've been talking about ECO for the sub-region. Why has that not worked? It hasn't worked because then Big Brother France decides which country, amongst the DS would have to do A, B, C, D. So as far as I'm concerned, these Francophone countries are now fighting for their independence.
Right.
And so let's tread cautiously. Or else our leaders, if they are not careful, they will destabilize the sub-region, the entire sub-region. And so we need to be already, without any declaration of war in Niger, go onto the streets of Accra, Shiashi, Jubilee House area, 37, and other areas. You have a lot of Nigerians, children and women and fathers, old people who are, begging for arms on our streets when there is no declaration. So can you imagine when the first bomb is dropped or the first gun is fired and they begin to flood this country? Yes, you can't drive them away because you went in there to go and destroy their country.
All right, Doc. So that's another conversation. Hello, Doc. Can you hear me?
In this particular intervention.
Hello, Doc. Can you hear me? So I mean, the issue of the ripple effect and the geopolitics will take us to another dimension, right? But there are those who also believe that this decision by ECOWAS is to stump the regional body's authority. We've seen what ECOWAS has tried to do in Mali, for example, and they've still not been able to return the country to democratic rule. So it's as though the body feels threatened, and its image out there appears to be one that is of a weak institution. Don't you believe that the decision to go hard is to save the image of ECOWAS and to also prove that ECOWAS can make these tough decisions when it needs to?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think that the leadership, what do you call it, their inability to return Mali to constitutional rule and all that. The truth is that, let me put it bluntly, the leaders are afraid for themselves and their positions they occupy. I tell you what, Alassane Ouattara has been sent as a member of the delegation that went into some of these countries that there were coups. When we know that he himself did a constitutional coup in his country, Adama Barrow and the rest have done worse than we are seeing. I don't support coup at all. And our situation is different from what is happening in Francophone West Africa. So I would say that ECOWAS is weak because, you know what, the leaders largely have not been able to speak to their other colleagues who are changing the constitution left and right. Go to Niger. Niger, the second poorest country in the world, when they have mineral resources that could have been used to turn the country around. My mind is that are the leaders telling us that the citizens of ECOWAS, because we have probably, some of them, we didn't put them there, some of them, we put them there. They will decide what probably the rest of us don't want in a manner that will destroy this country. And so my mind is that we need to tread cautiously as a country first, and we need to tread cautiously as a sub-region. Because whatever happens in Niger would happen in Ghana. Whatever, what is happening in Burkina Faso. Every now and then, you have asylum seekers crossing to Sisala, crossing to other places. We have not been able to deal with our issues in Boku. Boku is still on fire. So mine is that we need to tread cautiously.
Thank you so much, Doc. We'll leave it here for now. And this situation is not only having a political dimension, it's also having a very dreadful outlook on onion business here in Ghana. The closure of Niger's land and air borders have created difficulties in carting the produce from that country to Ghana. Its ripple effects include escalating prices on the Ghanaian market. My colleague Jackie Amsomayaboa is at Ajin Kotoku Onion Market. She joins us with more. Jackie, what have you been able to establish so far?
Okay, Bennett, so far it seems the prices has increased slightly, and just as you can see behind me, the place is empty. So I have the chairman here of the Progressive Onions Association, and I want him to tell us more. All right, Sumaila. So, how has the Niger border, the closure of the border, been affecting the onion selling here?
Yeah, good morning, viewers. The close of the border has affected us a lot because we bought onions and we've loaded. We have over 75 cars standing on the border, and it has affected our business. Since you can see the market, it is empty, simply because of the coup. So it has affected us a lot.
Okay. And has there been any price increase? Because last week I was in the market and I realized that there was a slight increase, but how has it been today?
Yeah, the price has gone up small because last week we were selling 1,200, 1,150, but now we are selling 1,400 and 1,450.
Okay. And do you have any goods on the way, onion to be precise?
Yeah, yesterday that they've talked to the ambassador and they've opened the border, so some of the cars are on their way coming, but they didn't reach yet. Okay. Yeah.
And how much do you think you'd be losing in terms of cost? Because that was last week and it's been there for long. How much do you think you are going to lose as a result of this?
Really, there onions, it's a rotten goose. So unless it comes, but we know by almost we will lose a lot because we know plenty will spoil. And since if it is spoiled, by almost we have to reduce it. We will not get the price that we bought there, and we have to reduce it and sell it. So we will lose a lot. Yeah.
So let me go right to the the vice chairman of the Progressive Onion Sellers Association.
Patriotic Onion Sellers Association.
Patriotic Onion Sellers Association. Can you tell us your name?
My name is Yakubu Akweneba.
All right, Yakubu. So do you think the prices are likely to go up if this continues?
The price is already go up. And now we are selling it, the little of the brand are selling it 1,500. And Beni border last 2 days, they opened it small. And the onions come and they have locked it again. And a lot of the cars go in Chuk at Burkina. So about 45 cars are blocked in Burkina about 5 days now. And they said they will do escort up to now. So our life is miserable. All our monies, if you come to the market, their life a graveyard. So it's not easy.
Okay. So personally, when I came here, it looks like the place is very empty. Why is that?
Because of the onion. We are exporting it to Ghana here. And there's no onion. If not, those cars come out. And onions, the moment they keep long in the car, there's heat. It will spoil. The moment the onions, tomatoes, we are the same. So they supply to Burkina. All the cars go block at Burkina there. And we have nothing to do. They say they will escort there about 6 days now. They say they will escort there every day. The cars are there. The cars are, we are even don't know what to do. And the little they bring to the market, we are selling 1,001, 1,200. Now it's 1,005. And it's not even more. It's the local one that they harvest more that they even bring to the market. It's not even plenty. And all the ladies, they will guess one people will be fighting on it. So we are appealing to the government to see to Burkina so that they will open the border and escort the cars to Ghana here for us. If you go there, it's only Ghana cars. There's no car from anywhere. We are pleading to the government.
All right. Now, I'm coming back to you, Sumaila. He was talking about the local onions. Do you think that would be an alternative?
Yeah, the local onions, it is good because if government is to support us, we will do much here. That one too will be helping the country. For example, at Agogo side like this, we have plenty land there whereby we can farm the onions and we can produce more, but due to money circumstance. So if government can help us, so that we too will doing our own.
Jacqueline was coming to us from the Ajenkutuku onion market. We're trying to assess the impact of the coup in Niger on onion sales in Ghana. Well, the president of the Peasant Farmers Association, Mr. Charles Nyaba, has also been speaking about this situation. According to him, more than 90% of our produce come from outside Ghana. The current situation in Niger, what will happen to our markets? He joins us for more on this. Hello, Mr. Nyaba. Thank you so much for joining us. And just before Jackie, ended that conversation from the Adrian Kutuku market, she was finding out what Ghanaian farmers, or what advantage Ghanaian farmers could take as a result of this situation in Niger. Clearly, there's a market. People need onions. We're not getting them from Niger. But do we have what it takes to meet the demand?
Thank you very much, and good morning to yourself and your team. Sometimes when this question is posed to me, I feel so ashamed that countries that are supposed to depend on us for some of these commodities, there's small shake-up, and then we tend to even panic more than them. If you remember, in the last 3 months, when the Boko Haram issue happened in Burkina, there was shortage of tomatoes in Ghana. Yet, Burkinabe farmers some years back came to Ghana to learn how to produce tomatoes. When you talk of onions, I think we have more fertile lands for onions production than all the countries we import the onions from. If we take the White Volta Basin along that valleys, all those places are fertile lands for onions production. You go to Asante region, areas like Gugu, fertile lands for onions production. You come to even the coastal area, Adan, you go to Hohoi area. All these places have potential for onions production. Yet we've not been able to explore those potentials. I attribute the local production of onions partly to our policies that focus on promoting particular crop commodities. You look at the Planting for Food and Jobs, which was looking at actually promoting staple food production, even though onions was listed as one of the vegetables to be considered under the program. There is no peso invested in onions production. The focus was only maize, rice, and soya beans. So those who produce onions locally are the peasant farmers, of which majority of them are women. They are producing between less than 1 acre per person. Now, onions production is highly profitable and at the same time highly intensive, which requires very serious attention for you to be able to get your maximum yield. The variety that we produce in Ghana, that's the Boko Red. I mean, even though short maturity, the yields are very low, but the one that we always get from the Niger, the seed to get one bottle is 250 Ghana cedis. You need 3 of them to do for 1 acre. Apart from the seed, you need to also apply pesticides to control pests. You need to prepare the land, you need to do labor, and you also need regular water supply. And all this, and the farmers have to contend with that because there's no any government investment in that. Post-harvest losses issues in onions is also very serious. Right. Even though we produce more, we lose about 50% due to post-harvest losses. So far, data from FAO suggests that our total onions production in Ghana is about 8,200 acres. And with this one, we are doing only about 144,000.
Right, Mr. Nyaba.
When countries like Niger is doing closer to 2 million, Nigeria is doing closer to 2 million, Egypt, which is the leading producer of onions, is doing about 3.3 million. We are doing 144 million. Meanwhile, all these countries, it's not the case that they have more potential for onions production than we do. Now, let me come to your question as to whether farmers will take advantage.
And Mr. Nyaba, can you be very brief for me? And sorry, we've run out of time. Can you be very brief? Yeah. Can you do it in 30 seconds?
Yeah. So I think for we the farmers, we think this is a golden opportunity. My only appeal to Ministry of Food and Agri is that they should try to support us with the seed, with the water supply system, and with the knowledge. Once we do that, we'll be able to increase our current yields of between 10 metric tons to 35 metric tons that Nigerians have been, because our lands are more fertile than those lands.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. Charles Nyaba is president of the Peasant Farmers Association, and he's been speaking to us about what advantage Ghanaian farmers can take as a result of the lack of onions on our market due to the coup in Niger. You're watching News Desk with me, Benis Abubedu Lansa. It's now time for business, and Darryl Kwao is standing by with the latest.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Director General of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tenkrang, has indicated that the trust is willing to participate in the second round of the domestic debt exchange program. According to him, the terms of the offer are more favorable than the initial program, hence the decision to subscribe. He was speaking at the 2023 edition of the Employers' Breakfast Meeting.
Social Security and National Insurance Trust SNIT held an engagement with employers in the country to deliberate on how to ensure the prompt payment of SNIT contributions of their employees. The trust, as of June 2023, retrieved 132 million cedis arrears through court cases. Speaking to the media, Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tenkrang, said the trust will make sure it has enough liquidity to pay pensions when they are due.
The government has tabled a new offer for pension funds that are holding government bonds. The terms of the offer certainly are better than, I think, the first one that was floated. We do hold some government paper. I think it's about a little less than 1 billion Ghana cedis of government paper. We will look at it, and then we will, subscribe and make sure that we have enough liquidity to be able to pay our immediate benefits when they come due. At SNIT, the way we pay our pensions, part of it is from the fixed income, which will be partly affected. Part of it is from contributions, and part of it will be from other investment income that we have. We've had a bit of headwinds vis-a-vis dividends from the banks. But we believe that all this is temporary, and that in the next couple of years or so, we'll be back to trend.
Deputy Director General in charge of operations and benefits at SNIT, Pearl Nana Amadakun, urged employers to be compliant and pay SNIT contributions of their employees.
Let's, all of us here, care about the bottom line, i.e. your profits. Therefore, a good corporate social image and the culture of your organization is important. The contribution you pay provide a sense of security for your workers and promote industrial harmony. Your continuous compliance also positively impacts your image as a good social and corporate citizenship.
The Ministry of Communications and Digitalization has called on academia to inculcate the use of emerging technology in teaching and learning processes. According to the ministry, this will improve digital inclusion and deepen the development of ICT in the country. Deputy Minister of Communications Ama Puma spoke on behalf of the sector minister at the launch of the National ICT Week, which is spearheaded by the National Information Technology Agency.
With the advent of emerging technologies, Ghana is poised to fast-track the development of its technology space through its digitalization agenda. As part of efforts to drive digitalization, the National Information Technology Agency has launched the National ICT Week and the World Technology Forum. The program, which is under the auspices of the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, will seek to deepen collaborations and enhance conversations in the sector. Speaking at the launch, Deputy Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Ama Poma, called for the inclusion of technological tools in teaching and learning processes.
Call upon our academic institutions to emphasize ICT education and research, fostering a culture of lifelong learning and technological adaptation. Embracing emerging technologies will allow us to stay at the forefront of innovation and keep pace with a rapidly evolving global landscape.
On the need to develop proper data systems, Director General of the National Information and Technology Agency said his outfit will facilitate proper data collection and laws.
Ensuring that we have data specific to us and even on the continent is what the dialogue has been, right? Data centers are doing okay. If you take the National Data Center, is doing extremely well. It's being revamped. Government now has a government cloud. We are doing well there. We are working with our sister agency, Data Protection Commission.
And that's it for business. The news continues after this break.
This is News Desk with me, Bernice Tuobodom, and an inspirational Ghanaian has developed a beautiful natural homestead where he keeps animals for business and conserves the environment by converting degraded lands into forests. After sand winning leading to a degraded land about 24 years ago, the enclave at Domiabra near Ejisu in the Ashanti region is now a one-of-a-kind farm surrounded by a forest. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin visited the homestead for Climate Focus.
So when I came, I found out that some of the parts, the land is being used as a sign winning area, and for that you cannot plant anything. So I consulted the Agric Ministry, and they introduced me to the Fisheries Department, and they told me that we can just repair some of the pits to make fish ponds.
To me, I always say that this place is a little heaven, because from the Bible we all understand that Adam and Eve started from a garden, and the garden comprises so many trees and different types. So I brought a discussion with my dad that why don't you go into different types of plants? Since this place is an eco-tour site, people will come and learn things from here. So we decided to plant. We have the jackfruits, we have star fruits, we have in local dialects we call prekese. We have so many plants around that people also come. Some come for it for medicinal purposes, some come for research purposes, some also come for tour sites. So this were the inspiration behind it. That's why we created so many plants here.
What an interesting story of how one person in a family is changing the story. We're bringing you more in subsequent bulletins, but that's it for this edition of News Desk with me, Bernice Tuobodom. Do log on to myjoyonline.com for more news. On Facebook and Instagram, we are Joy News on TV. Thanks for staying with your most credible news source.